Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We will chant from verses 11 to 15 of chapter 3. Devan bhavayatanena,
Devan bhavayatanena,
te deva bhavayantu vaha,
te deva bhavayantu vaha,
parasparam bhavayantaha,
parasparam bhavayantaha,
Shreyah paramavapsyatha,
Shreyah paramavapsyatha,
Ishtan bogan hi vo devaha,
Ishtan bogan hi vo devaha,
Dasyante yajna bhavitaha,
Dasyante yajna bhavitaha,
Tairdattana pradayaibhyaha,
Tairdattana pradayaibhyaha,
Yo bhungte stena eva saha,
Yo bhungte stena eva saha,
Yajna shishtashinah santaha,
Yajna shishtashinah santaha,
Muchyante sarva kilbishaihi,
Muchyante sarva kilbishaihi,
Bhunjate te tvagam papaha,
Bhunjate te tvagam papaha,
Ye pachantyatmakaranat,
Ye pachantyatmakaranat,
Annad bhavanti bhutani,
Annad bhavanti bhutani,
Parjanyadanna sambhavah.
Parjanyadanna sambhavah.
Yajnat bhavati parjanyah.
Yajnat bhavati parjanyah.
Yajnah karma samudbhavah.
Yajnah karma samudbhavah.
Karma brahmodbhavam viddhi.
Karma brahmodbhavam viddhi.
Brahmakshara samudbhavam.
Brahmakshara samudbhavam.
Tasmat sarvagatam brahma.
Tasmat sarvagatam brahma.
Nityam yajne pratishtitam.
Nityam yajne pratishtitam.
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So in the last few sessions, we have been going into the depth of this principle of Ishtan Bogan. So the amazing thing is, he has taken up a word like boga, which is normally understood as being engrossed or being attached in the worldly pleasures. And he is saying, when you approach it correctly, boga becomes a spiritual experience. Ishtabhoga becomes a spiritual experience. So you have apparently two extremes. One is the state of yoga. On the other hand, other extreme, you have boga. I am giving you the common viewpoint or perception which everyone has. They always see a difference, no? On one hand, you have yoga, which means generally the moment we talk of yoga, we relate it to discipline, we relate it to tapas, austerity, the spiritual life. And the other extreme is boga. Generally, everyone relates boga to worldly pleasures, being completely caught up in the samsara of this world, in the cycle. So everyone sees these two things, that is yoga and boga, as two extremes, opposite to each other. Either you can be in yoga or in boga. That's how everyone thinks. But here he is smashing that concept, that wrong concept which people are having. Now, why is he spending so much time where he is removing all the wrong concepts? Not only here, 2 verses back we saw he said Ishta Kama. So again, with respect to desires, he said, per se desires are not wrong. But when you approach them wrongly, when you handle them wrongly, then it causes your downfall. But if you use them rightly, it will cause your upliftment. That's what we saw. So why is he spending so much of time? The reason is, having been born in this world, you cannot escape the world. This is the first basic point which you should understand. There is nothing like leaving the world externally. So if you say boga means experiencing the world fully, but then that is not spiritual, yoga means that is spiritual life, then how can you ever lead a spiritual life? Because life itself means you have to contact the world. You have to experience the world. And the moment we talk of experiences, the experiences will be varied. That also we saw. Sometimes pleasure, sometimes pain. All these ups and downs will be there. So you really don't have any choice with respect to experiencing the world. It's so beautifully explained in the Yoga Vashishta. The Yoga Vashishta, Vashishta Muni, who was a guru of Lord Rama, now he gives the whole advice to Rama because Rama asks him at the age of 16. Rama went around for a tour as a prince. He just went around and he saw all sorts of suffering, old age suffering. People were in, some kind of suffering they were going through. So when he saw all that, he became quite depressed. And he grew a beard, he became very thin because of the depression. And there was no life in him. Can you imagine? Lord Rama, who was an avatar. And if you read the description of Rama, it's so attractive. Rama had that sweetness about him. Rama's aura was so positive that it conquered the hearts of all the people who came in contact with him. That is how it has been described. Now, such a person, Lord Rama, he had become very pale and he was in a state of depression. And Dasharatha, his father, didn't know how to get him out of that state. So he was called to the court, and when Rama walked in, all the people who were sitting there, they were all shocked because they had always seen Rama in a very vibrant way. But here he was standing there. He had lost so much of weight, not in a healthy way, but he had genuinely become very thin. There was no life in his personality. So people were all shocked. And Sage Vishwamitra had come there. So Dasharatha requested Vishwamitra. He said, "Sir, can you help Rama? Can you bring him out of this state of depression? He has a lot of questions. Nobody is able to answer those questions. Questions about life, So to which Sage Vishwamitra said, when Vashishta, he is there, why should you even approach me? Vashishta is one of the greatest saints and he is right here. He is the Rajaguru here, the royal master there, the royal spiritual teacher. So it is right that Sage Vashishta should answer Rama's questions. So this is how the Yoga Vasishta starts. And thereafter it's a conversation between Lord Rama and Sage Vashishta. Initial portion for few days, Rama asks his questions. That goes into few verses, quite number of verses. Actually, the whole text runs into some 33,000 or so many verses. It's quite voluminous. And then after hearing Rama's questions fully, Vasishta starts answering. So one of the things which Rama says is that when I went around for my tour, I looked at various people, how they were living and all that. Somehow I don't find any purpose in life. Anyway, everyone is going to die. What is the meaning of all this? And within that short time, so much of suffering is there, disease is there, old age is there. Something similar to what Buddha went through, So he said, I want to leave this world so that I can find the truth. That is, he meant God, the infinite. I want to leave this world. So then Vasishta starts answering him. I'm not getting into the full thing because that is too voluminous. It's impossible to cover here. But whatever is relevant to this portion. So Vashishta, he starts off with this. He says, Rama, you're saying I'm unhappy with the world. Therefore, I want to leave the world. This is your point. In order to find God, the truth. Now, Vasishta keeps 2 points. He says, number one, when you say I want to leave the world, can you tell me a place where you can go outside of this world? An extremely logical, simple logical question which Vasishta asked. What is most interesting is, most people in spirituality miss this point. Because what Vasishta said is, even if you go, let's say you leave the kingdom and you go to the forest is also a part of the world, no? So if you say being here is worldly, being there is also equally worldly. If that is how you're going to define worldliness. The wherever you are right now, see, you should bring it into your life, whatever, your house, your experiences, your place. Now, if that is a part of the world, the other place which you are saying you want to go, sometimes the mind gets into these strange concepts. That's what is dramatized in that Yoga Vasishta. So he said, Rama, where do you want to go? There is no point outside the world which you can go. Anywhere you go, that will be a part of this world only. You're only leaving one part of the world and going to another part of the world. So that is not going to help you at all. First point. So there itself, all the misconceptions about spirituality are broken. Because people generally say, no, spirituality means I will take it up after retirement. It teaches us how to leave the world and all this. There is nothing called leaving the world. You may ask me, sir, what about death? Death is not leaving the world. You get into the astral world. And then again you come back, you're born to this physical world. The real leaving the world, if at all, is the state of enlightenment. where you're not leaving the world physically, but consciousness-wise, you become one with the infinite. When your ego completely goes, that is when you have left all the attachments to the world, all bondages. So practically you cannot leave the world. So this smashes all these tamasic ideas which people have, that this is worldly, this is spiritual. There is nothing like that. So this is the first point which Vashishta gives him. The second point which he gives is also very interesting. He says, okay, now you're saying I want to leave the world in order to find the truth, this experience God and all that. What you mean is I want to leave this kingdom and go to the forest. Now tell me, wherever is it that you want to go? Is God present more there vis-a-vis this kingdom right now? The moment we talk of God, God is infinite, omnipresent, which means God is present everywhere. God is present in the forest and in this kingdom equally. There is nothing like God is present more in the forest. Let it be even the Himalayas. God is omnipresent. So your very idea that if I leave the kingdom and if I go to the forest, then I will find God itself is wrong. Because God is present there and here. You are unable to get in touch with that infinite. You are not having that inner perception, your jnana chakshu, the eye of wisdom is not open. That is the reason why you are not experiencing the infinite right now. And just because you change the place, how will the inner eye of wisdom open? This is the second point which Vashishta gives him. So the solution to that is not changing the place. It is in opening the eye of wisdom from within. The third eye. Then right here you will start experiencing that infinite supreme reality, which is what the state of yoga is all about. And then of course Vashishta goes on and on. It's a very fascinating conversation which they have. Practically, Rama asks so many questions. He asks Vashishta, what is objectivity? Vashishta explains, but Rama is unable to get a hang of it. Then Vashishta gives him a spiritual experience. He takes the astral body of Rama and makes Rama experience his own subtle body, the astral body, by bringing it out of his physical body, and then makes him look at his own physical body and others and says, see how you're viewing now, this is called objectivity. Like that it goes on, He talks of the different energy centers, how the Shakti has to be moved up. But the fundamental things which with he starts off his discourse is this only. That is, he focuses on removing the misconceptions. Because as long as these misconceptions are there, you will never be able to do your sadhana properly. So, on one hand, you're seeing boga, which is worldliness. On the other hand, you're seeing yoga, which is spirituality, in quotes. Now, as long as you're seeing a difference, you can never become spiritual. Because either you will be in boga or you can be in yoga. And that's what Vashishta says. If you leave boga means experiencing the world. Where will you go? Anywhere you go, that is also a part of the world. Is it so simple to go and stay in the jungles? Some people, when they get irritated about something, they say, especially when they have fights and all. I have heard this many a time, where a husband gets very, there was a man actually who used to say this. Whenever he used to have a lot of fight with his wife, he used to say, "Po, na sannyas eduthukuren po." Means I'll take up sannyas, he'll say. I mean, I'll go to the Himalayas. Now, this is a very wrong. Just imagine, with this frame of mind, if everybody goes to the Himalayas, even little bit of peace which is there will go away. Quickly, you will convert the Himalayas into a place of turmoil. It is in your mind. It is a state of mind. An external place can be temporarily conducive, that's all. But that is not the real solution. So, this dichotomy which you're seeing between boga and yoga, that is between worldliness and spirituality, is an illusion. There is no dichotomy. You're creating an artificial division. And that division which you are creating in your perception, that is the greatest block which is not allowing you to develop spiritually. Because practically it's impossible to leave the world. So you are going to keep experiencing the world. And if you think this is worldliness, this is not spirituality, you will never evolve spiritually. You will only go on strengthening this idea that I am more worldly, I am more worldly. There is no end to that. So, it is only when you join these two things, yoga and boga, we get the real spirituality. That is the real sadhana. Boga means, I have given all the many, not all, but several dimensions have been given to you. Those dimensions are more than enough. So fundamentally, boga means experience, enjoyments, the worldly pleasures and all that. So that is something which you cannot escape. That's what I told you. Even when you go to, let's say you go to the Himalayas, it is another kind of experience, worldly experience only, because it is a part of the world. You have not escaped boga. You only changed the nature of external experience. Not from worldly to spiritual, from one worldliness to another worldliness. If you want to change the nature of experience from worldliness to spirituality, it cannot happen by changing your place externally. You will have to bring in the principles of yoga and incorporate it wherever you are. Whether you are living in the forest, or whether you are living in a palace, all these things do not matter. This is what was a great message of Vashishta. And it's very interesting because Rama practiced that throughout his life. He went through all the experiences of the world after that, but in a very detached way. One minute he was coronated as the next king, and before the coronation could take place, it was announced, but before the coronation could take place, just half an hour or 1 hour before, he was asked to leave the palace, go to the forest for 14 years. See, imagine such a varied experience. 1 second you are living in a palace, next second you have to now move to the forest. But this wisdom which Vashishta had given him helped him to go through all the experiences objectively. He went through all the joys and sorrows because Rama was a Manushya avatar, that is the human avatar, Avatar only, incarnation of the infinite, but in the human form, leaning more towards the human nature. So he went through all the joys and sorrows, the ups and downs of life, but he did it very objectively. So the trick here is not in avoiding the world, but it is in changing your attitude towards the world. How do I approach my experiences? How do I function in the world so that I go on evolving spiritually? That is what is called yoga. And that is by practicing the principle of yajna. So whenever your mind wants to escape from something, understand that you are not going to become more mature, you are not going to evolve in any way because of that action, or rather because of avoiding that action. Actually, if you leave your present experiences and suddenly go to the Himalayas or all that, that will make you very lonely. See, some yogis chose the lifestyle of solitude, but that was a choice. Actually, even if they are in the world, it's not going to disturb them. That will never disturb their mind. But in order to do certain experiments, in order to do certain things, practically they wanted a place which was quiet. Therefore, they may have chosen such a life. Just as a scientist, in order to discover certain truths, he isolates himself in a laboratory. See, for example, where was electricity discovered? In the laboratory, not in the marketplace. Because that is conducive, he doesn't want any disturbance for that activity which he is doing. But electricity, even though it was discovered in the laboratory, that is meant to be used in the world, not in the laboratory. Similarly, some great yogis, they chose a life of solitude in order to meditate more and discover these truths of life. But whatever they discovered, that is the ancient wisdom, is meant for everyone to use in the world, not to be used in the forest. Please understand this. And if you take the mental state of a yogi, whether he is in the forest or whether he is in the midst of the world, he is always in solitude only. A yogi has his capacity to be in the state of solitude even when he is in a crowd, he is amidst a lot of people. That is what is it. So, being alone is different and being lonely is different. Please understand this. Sannyas is not a negative state. It is not actually leaving something. It is actually taking up the higher values of life. It is a very positive state. When you are in solitude, you are filled with bliss and happiness. Whereas when you are lonely, you are filled with a lot of fear and despair. You start longing for things. So how should you approach this whole thing if you want to practicalize this sadhana of ishtan bogan? How do you practically do it? Very simple. Whatever you have got in life today, that is based on your swadharma only, based on your nature. You are born at a particular place. Today you may have chosen to do a particular work. Everything goes according to your nature. You cannot escape from that. Now, this is what is your world. which is boga, varied experiences which you're going to go through. Now, bring in this principle of ishta bhoga, that is, start choosing your life experiences. This is what I want to experience. Then do sadhana every day. Do the yoga sankirtan sadhana, and whenever you get the opportunity to do the higher empowerments, do them, because that will help to increase your spiritual powers. So when you do the sadhana, when you increase your spiritual powers, you will be able to materialize your goals. See, this is the way you are infusing the spirit of yoga in boga. That is the right way which our great saints have given us. As I have told you many times, we don't even need to go into the depth of the Bhagavad Gita. Just see the background, the incidents. There is a battlefield. First of all, the Bhagavad Gita was given in the battlefield, not in the hermitage in some forest. So the battlefield represents life. It is representative of the challenges of the world. And here was Arjuna, a warrior, who wanted to escape and run away. And Krishna is giving him the Bhagavad Gita. And what is he telling him? You have to face the challenge which is in front of you. So even without going into the depth of the Bhagavad Gita, we can easily derive this principle. Actually, once you understand this, you just read the Mahabharata, you read other Puranas, anything which you read, you will find that this message repeats itself in every scripture, in every Purana. It is so basic, and yet everybody misses this. They are always thinking spirituality is one thing, worldliness is another thing, and in order to become spiritual, I have to leave this, I have to leave that, I have to leave. What are you going to leave? You have to leave your negativities, inner negativities. That is what he is saying. Bhava. Bhava means what is happening within you, the intentions. Leave the wrong intentions and pick up the right bhavana. Purify yourself internally. You have to leave the ego from within. Everything is internal. The transformation is internal. By changing places externally, by changing the dress which you are wearing, the color of your dress. Some people think, oh, if I change the color of my dress, now I'll grow spiritually. How is that possible? Just think about it, because it's the same mind which you're going to carry, no? So if you truly want to become a yogi, this is the path. Ishtan bogan. So beautifully he is given here. And it's so logical also, if you think about it. Logical and extremely practical. It is reaching you at your level. See, that is the beauty of these great masters, great yogis. They have, of course, reached a very high level, but they don't talk merely from that level. Sometimes they talk from that level to inspire a student, but otherwise, practically, they reach out to the students from at their level, at the student's level. Because you can practice things from your level and you cannot practice something which is beyond your level. Even in the normal education, worldly education, if a boy or a girl is at third grade, now problems can be given, principles can be given according to the age of that student. Suddenly, if you give a 5th grade problem to, or 5th grade knowledge pertaining to 5th grade to a 3rd grade student, now it will go over his or her head. There is no use. So, Ishtan Bogan, that is such a powerful principle, how you can combine yoga and boga, how you can infuse spirituality into your life, whatever level you're in. That's why this word boga is such a brilliant choice of word which Krishna uses here, because boga is the world in entirety, the experiences in entirety, starting from 0 to 100. So whatever level you are in, it doesn't matter. 10%, 15%, 50%, 60%, whatever level you are in, this principle, Ishtan Bogan, will be applicable there. So when you face a challenge in life, and when the challenge is disturbing you, understand that it is your inability to face the challenge which is a problem, not per se that challenge. See, this is a very powerful message which is being given to you. This is the message of the yogis. You have to reflect on this. Whenever you face a challenge in life, your first reaction is, oh, this challenge is too much. I wish this challenge can be taken away from my life. But our yogis say no. The problem is not the challenge. The problem is your inability to face the challenge. So if you escape that challenge, that lacuna, that inability which you have will continue to remain. If you run away from the situation, let us say, some other situation will manifest in your life, and again you will not be able to face that challenge. It will go on endlessly till that moment where you decide, okay, let me now see how to face this challenge, how to conquer this challenge. That is what is Ishtan Bogan. Then you've started on the spiritual path. You may first dabble with various worldly solutions, this, that and all. But slowly, you will have to turn spiritual. You will have to turn inward. What is my perception? What is the quality of my thoughts? What is the quality of my emotions? How am I creating this situation? All these questions you will start asking at some point of time. When your tendency is to escape from the world, you will never find a solution. You're going to close all the doors. But if you understand and accept this reality that yes, I am here, the world is here, I have to face the world, even if you don't have a solution today, let's say you are in the wrong path, you're seeking solutions outside, it doesn't matter, because at some point of time you will hit the right solution, you will get a guru. As your seeking deepens, the Guru Shakti will manifest. Your Guru will start guiding you. So that is why these great masters were so much against escapism. Escapism does not make you a strong person. Actually, it is a sign of weakness. Escapism does not make you happy. It actually makes you more miserable. Whatever weakness you are trying to avoid in life, that comes back and haunts you more. You will have to gain that inner strength, which is what the sadhana gives you, and face that weakness squarely. that is when you can conquer your inner weakness, become extremely pure and powerful, and keep on growing spiritually. So verses like these, that is verse number 12, and then the other verse like Ishtakama we saw, these are the kind of verses which actually give you the right perspective of what is spirituality. These are all very fundamental principles, and this will come again and again, because for some strange reason people don't grasp the fundamentals. Sometimes I know people who talk of very high philosophy, they quote the Upanishads and this and that and all, but basic concepts are totally wrong. So two words are there, Laukikam and Adhyatmam. Laukikam means worldliness, Adhyatmam means spirituality. Now, what defines whether an experience is a Laukika experience, that is worldly experience, or Adhyatma experience, that is spiritual experience? It is not the nature of the experience, but it is how you approach that experience. That's what Sage Vashishta said, whether you are in the forest or whether you are in the kingdom Rama, if you are in Jnana Chakshu, the eye of wisdom is closed, it will be a worldly experience only. If you go to the forest, what will be your experience? Tell me. You will only keep seeing wild animals. There was one person who went to the Himalayas, it actually happened. He said, now I'll go on a tour to the Himalayas and all that. And he went and came back. And when he came back, I asked him, so how was your trip? He said, yeah, it was okay, especially when you went to the mountains, how was it? Too much of mosquitoes, insects. See, this person, 10 days trip or something he went, that too with the group. So he is only looking at all that. So even if you go to a place of worship, your experience will only be worldly if that is your bent of mind. I know many people who go to a place of worship, like for example a temple, and they are gossiping there. I've actually seen people sitting there and gossip, talk negative about others and all that. And some people are merely admiring the decoration of the idol, the decoration, this gold, this is there. See, the mind gets distracted everywhere. Whatever is there inside only comes out. A person who is spiritual means a person who is purified from within. When he goes to a place of worship, what will be his or her focus? Just God, attuning to that infinite, nothing else. And such a person will be able to attune to the infinite even at home. I want you to think about this. There's no point in just simply passing this Ishtan, bogan, whatever the enjoyments you have, the gods will give you. Now, okay, let's go to the next line. It's not so simple. This has to transform your life. So, when you see that difference between yoga and boga, that is spirituality and worldliness, you will get into one of the two extremes only. You will either be worldly or you will be pseudo-spiritual. In the name of being spiritual, you will try, but you cannot, because you cannot leave the world. So, you will not complete your experiences also in the world, nor will you expand your consciousness and become one with infinite. So the path of spirituality, the path of yoga is in combining these two. Yoga means yuj, to join. At different levels, what you have to join will keep changing. Fundamentally, it is a joining of Jivatma with Paramatma. Then at each level, the application of yoga changes. What does it mean by uniting or joining? Externally, it is joining the boga and the spirituality, the laukikam and adhyatmam, the inner spirituality. When you combine these two, that is the powerful state of yoga, yuj. This is what Krishna meant when he said, Yogastha Kuru Karmani. In one of the verses earlier we saw, I think it was in chapter 2. Yogastha Kuru Karmani means be in the state of yoga and act. Perform all your actions. So, perform all your actions means do whatever you have to do in the world. Go through all the experiences. But how? Be established in the state of yoga. It comes through sadhana. That now he is explaining that further by using the word ishtan bogan. He is only explaining that powerful spiritual principle. It is fundamental but extremely powerful. And if you misunderstand this, you may read all the scriptures in the world. You may say, I am worshipping, I am doing this ritual, I am doing that, I am by hearting, whatever it is that you do, nothing will help you to grow spiritually because your foundation is wrong. When the foundation is not strong, the building will fall at some point of time. So all the so-called spiritual knowledge and spiritual practices which a person does will all fall away if the foundation is weak. Anything which you learn, even these Sunday sessions, in these Sunday sessions, since we are using the yogic approach, there is no chance of misunderstanding because all these points are repeatedly being given to you. But you never know. In spite of all this, some person may be so creative. Creatively, he may misunderstand. That is one thing which everybody has mastered. How to misunderstand everything. So all these things which you are learning should help you to live your life better. Whatever life you're going through now, which means if you're having a family, means it should help you to serve your family better. If you're working somewhere, it should help you to work better there. If you're a student, it should help you to study better. If you're a doctor, it should help you in that profession. If that doesn't happen, then you're not using this properly. The knowledge part, the wisdom part, especially when we use the yogic approach, is very systematic. But if you approach it wrongly, you will not get the benefit. Your foundation will be weak and you will go on building something on it which will ultimately fall. So, ishtan bogan, the varied experiences of life by choice, ishta, the choices which you make. This is from the soul level, jivatma level. See, atman, atma means the soul. Jivatma means the individual soul. Paramatma means the infinite soul, which is common. Now, you are not this body, you are the soul. You are not these material equipments, you are the soul, the Atma. And today, when that Atma is conditioned by the physical body, by the emotions, by the thoughts, we call it the Jivatma. And as the Jivatma, you take various physical bodies, birth after birth. You go through various experiences. See, one thing is to look at Ishtan Bogan from the perspective of this birth alone, which means you are born in this birth at a particular time, you will die within this Ishtan Bogan. Up to now, that's how even things were explained to you, but now we are stepping up the level. If you look at it from the point of view of the soul, the Atma, then you are the Jivatma, the individual soul. You are not this physical body. This particular physical body, the form which you have taken right now and you are listening to this is one short portion of your whole life. You have gone through many, many births like this. Thousands and thousands of births. It is not only in the human form. You have taken many other forms also. Out of all those forms, the human form is considered to be very sacred. Because when you get this human birth, you can practice Ishtan Bogan. Any other creature cannot practice Ishtan Bogan. They can only practice boga. Practice means nothing to practice there. They'll just be involved in that experience. Whether it is an animal or whether it is a plant or whether it is any other creature, they are just exhausting certain tendencies. That's all. That such a life is called boga, completely involved in that. But it is only when you get the human birth that you get this capacity to choose your experiences, to go through your experiences with full awareness. That is called Ishtan Bogan, to be in the middle path and evolve towards the infinite. So as the Jivatma, as the individual soul, when you look at your life, now we are not talking of one particular birth, one particular lifetime of that body, but we are talking of many, many small lives. At one point of time, you had another body. You may have been some other creature also. When you get into the advanced stages of meditation, you get the capacity to see all your past births. That state is called Pratiprasava, being born again. When you release all those impressions which you have stored from the past births, then you are reborn. You are born again. That is Pratiprasava, being born again. So, the higher application of the Ishtan Bogan is to see your present experience as a continuation of innumerable experiences which you have had. In the 4th chapter, he will be saying this to Arjuna. Krishna, when we come there, we will see that very inspiring. He says, Arjuna, you have gone through many, many births and now you are in front of me receiving this wisdom. You know not all those births, but I know them all, he says. What a powerful statement which Krishna makes. Now, immediately don't send me questions, sir. How to find out past births? Can you do some healing and make us see the past? You will get into a lot of trouble. Already, see, whatever memories you have about this lifetime, that itself is creating so many issues. Just imagine if you remember everything, what will happen to you? That is why nature has made you forget all that. But when you do sadhana, when you get the inner strength, you will get the ability to release all the karmic factors. That is when things will be revealed to you. So things have to happen gradually to one's capacity. Not just like that, opened up. Everything cannot be opened up just like, without any reference to what you can handle. So one thing is to look at your life in a very limited way, beginning, end. That is boga. When we say experiences, pleasures and all. But the other is, at least bring that thought in your mind that this birth and death, okay, you have not experienced death in this birth, but we can project it, because you have seen it outside, so you can project. This birth and death defines one small time frame in the innumerable births, with respect to innumerable births and deaths which you have gone through. That is the larger time frame when it comes to the Jivatma. So now Ishtan Bogan means as the Jivatma, now I am going to choose the experiences which I want now, and I am going to infuse the spiritual energy there. Being in the middle path, I will experience everything which the world has to offer, whatever it is that I want to experience, and I will complete all those experiences and unite with the infinite. See, this is a very powerful principle which is being given to you. Till now, it was given at a relative level. Now, this is at a higher level. So, experience by experience, you will start exhausting not merely that present karma. You will start exhausting or releasing all the karmas associated with that, if you really get into this depth. It is the daily sadhana which will give you the depth. Don't now send me questions, sir, can you please give me practical tips as to how to see myself as Jivatma? No practical tips and all that. Either you are at that level or no. If you are not at that level, no problem. Practice the same principles at the relative level and keep doing your sadhana. But when you hear these things, whether you are able to practice them immediately or not, definitely that will inspire you. You will start appreciating these things. That is the starting point. When you keep on appreciating, one day you will start practicing them. So you are going through one experience today. You are thinking that experience is from this lifetime. But what the yogis are saying is, there is a very long karmic thread behind each and every experience which you go through. Now, Ishtan Bogan means releasing the entire karmic thread as you are going through your present experience. A very high level of sadhana. It can be practiced only at an advanced stage. But it's worth mentioning it to you, because in the future empowerments, these things will be taken up. let us, for example, say you have the experience of fear. Now, let us say a fear of closed spaces. They have, no, they say they've given different names, no, like I think that's called claustrophobia. So a closed space, if you're there, now that causes fear. Now, one thing is to see that fear immediately, the immediate cause. But that same fear will have a very long karmic thread that may be caused because of some experience which you had 6 months back. And that experience may have been caused because of some experience which you had 5 years back. That experience would have been caused because of some experience which you had when you were a child. Somebody may have locked you up somewhere or something which your conscious mind would have forgotten it, but those impressions will be there. That experience will be because of some experience which you would have gone through, that fear experience when you were in your mother's womb. Your mother may have feared something and you may have absorbed that energy. And then that experience again may be because of some experiences which you had in your previous birth. Like this, it's a long thread. So, when we are talking of releasing that fear from an advanced yogic state, we are not talking of merely that emotion here. We are talking about releasing the entire karmic thread. And when you do that, then whatever baggage which you have stored through the varied experiences of life, which is called boga, you will drop all that. And that is when the Jivatma becomes free. And it becomes one with the Paramatma. Paramatma means the supreme infinite soul, the supreme infinite being. So many a times yogis say, no, drop all your baggages. This is what it means. As a Jivatma, you are carrying the impressions of boga, varied experiences, bogan, many lifetimes. Ishtan bogan, for a person who does the sadhana properly, yajna bhavita, we say, no, yajna bhava. For such a person, the gods will give them the higher experience, the divinity will give them the higher experience of Ishtan bogan, means dropping off all the baggages and becoming free, completing everything. And when you drop off all the baggages, instantly the Jivatma realizes that it is no longer the Jivatma, it is the Paramatma. Even to say the Jivatma becomes the Paramatma is relative only. Because Atma is one only. The division between Jivatma and Paramatma itself is an illusion. That illusion is moved, is taken off. And the individual soul realizes its infinite nature. That is the sacred moment of enlightenment. So the daily sadhana of Yoga Sankirtan which you are doing today has the potential, so is to help you to release the baggages which you have picked up from many births. It is not a joke, it's a very powerful state. So when a student goes to a master, the master teaches the student according to his or her level. And as the student evolves, when the student comes to that level, there is one initiation the master will give. That is certain empowerments, initiations where at the Jivatma level, and the student starts experiencing himself or herself as a Jivatma. That is also done at a higher level. There is a higher level of empowerment. From then onwards, the sadhana will take a different turn. So, it is only when you do your daily sadhana and purify yourself, when you practice these basic principles and all that, the further and further higher empowerments can be given. No point in merely just asking, Actually, there is nothing to ask. When a person is prepared, automatically it will be given. The law of nature functions that way only. So, Ishtan Bogan means now as the Jivatma, varied experiences. I have only chosen everything. Now, let me choose my life and exhaust or release or complete. All these things mean one and the same thing. Complete all my experiences from its karmic thread. So for a sincere sadhak, that experience is given, that capacity is given. That's what he means. The gods will give you the Ishtan Bogan. The gods will give you that capacity to go through all the enjoyments of life with choice and evolve spiritually. That is, realize your infinite nature. That is the greatest blessing which you can obtain as an individual. Why is it that in the spiritual path we bow down to all the great yogis, all the great masters? Why is it that we always feel grateful to all the masters? Because the work of the masters is to prepare everyone, one who has surrendered, and help that person to drop off all the baggages. That is the very purpose of your life. You have no other purpose. Just to go through the experiences of life, boga, is not your purpose. It is by using these experiences to drop off your baggages and become one with the infinite. That is your real purpose of life. Okay, so I'll stop with that here. Very powerful, no? These messages. Just by listening to them, they'll create tremendous vibrations within you, spiritual vibrations. In today's Nididhyasana, we will install these things in your deeper minds. So after that, when you reflect, when you try to practice, it will make it easy for you. Okay. So before we go to the Nididhyasana, I will take up one question. The question is, when does one cross the line between selfishness and self-care? She has given an explanation. For example, there is a small thing, but something that came to my mind. My in-laws wanted me to gift saris that they bought to relatives who visited our home, which was a formality they created. While elders in the family do that, our generation of cousins don't really do it. However, they insisted that I give those saris that they bought to the elders who visited our home. I was so annoyed and against it because I wasn't wholeheartedly giving it. I even argued with my husband over it. Ultimately ended up giving it to the relatives with the half heart. Follow-up question. Now my question is, if my approach was my approach selfish or no? I believe at some places I need to be stern and put across my belief. But what if I hurt them in the process? At what point should I stop? I know there is no accurate answer to this. Who said there is no accurate answer? See, you have asked it's a very practical question you have asked. And then finally, I know there is no accurate answer, means then what is it that you are asking? But it would be just helpful if you could give general guidance. So you already concluded there is no accurate answer to this. I am not mentioning the name, I am just straight away giving the answer. And then you are asking for a general solution. See, first of all, whenever you ask a question, you should not assume that there is no answer. Answer will only be general. There is nothing like that. There is an accurate answer to everything. There is a solution to every problem. As Albert Einstein said, every problem has a solution, and the solution lies within the problem only. When we don't examine it properly, we don't get accurate solutions. So, when we take this example, first of all, this has nothing to do with selfishness and self-care. Yes, okay, there is a relation. What you're saying is, I have certain beliefs. Now, do I put that across sternly, which you're calling it as self-care? But then, if I hurt the other person, isn't it selfishness? This is what you're asking. Now, primarily, merely asserting your beliefs is not self-care, because your belief can be wrong. Please understand this. Self-care means taking care of yourself according to the higher principles of life. This is very important. See, for example, supposing a person says, a youngster, the person who has asked this is also a youngster only. So she has asked this, but let's take let's say a teenager. He says, I feel like lazing around. I don't feel like, doing any action and all that. I just want to laze around. That is my belief. Supposing he says that. But my parents are saying, no, you get up, you do this, you do that. So now should I assert my belief, which is self-care, or if I assert now that will hurt my parents, is it selfishness? What answer will you give? There is nothing there. The belief that I want to be lazy, that laziness is good, that belief itself is wrong. So self-care doesn't mean merely asserting your beliefs. Actually, self-care starts with questioning your beliefs, whether your beliefs are aligned to the higher principles of life or not. That is the first question. Everyone will believe something. One person will think doing this is right, another person will do. What is the criteria? Are they aligned to the higher principles of life? That is why this ancient wisdom is being given to you, which is nothing but the set of higher principles. Supposing a person says, my belief is life is just very short. So let me do whatever I want. If I feel like slapping another person, I'll slap. That is my belief. Will you say that belief is correct? If he starts asserting that belief, how is it self-care? So you have fundamentally misunderstood this principle of self-care. Similarly, selfishness means when you fulfill something of yours at the cost of another person, that is only called selfishness. Now getting to this example, you are saying your in-laws are wanting you to give some saris which they have already bought as a daughter-in-law of the family, they're saying, give it to all the elders who have come. Now, why should you resist that first of all? The words which you've used, I'm just reading those lines again. This is a formality they have created, the elders, but our generation of cousins don't really do it. Okay, what is wrong in doing it? Certain people may be following a custom as a formality, but after all, what they're asking you to do is give some saris or whatever you mentioned to some elders, right? So when you do it with that bhavana, let the other person be happy, now that is no longer a formality. Yes, they may be doing it as a mechanical belief, mechanical custom today. But whatever you are saying, at our generation we don't do that, means that also has no basis. So what I am saying is, instead of fighting against all this, the simple solution will be, after all supposing they ask you to take away, supposing let us say they say, we want you to go to everybody's house, all the relatives' house, when they are not looking, take away their saris and come away. I mean, nobody is going to say that. I am simply giving an arbitrary example. Supposing this is what they have suggested, then you have a point. How can I believe that is wrong? Because your belief is aligned with the higher principles. But that is not what they are saying. So if you do that, it will help you to maintain a relationship with your in-laws. So there to assert your belief, which has no basis, means nothing. So there is nothing to assert there. There is nothing to be against it or for it. Many a times in life we make this mistake. Some small things we go and try to assert. What will happen is the relationship will get spoiled. Then when a real principle comes and when you try to assert, the other person will never accept. So always keep this wisdom as your guiding principle, the higher principles of life. If they are not doing it consciously, no problem. You can still do it consciously with the bhavana of giving. Then that will become a beautiful experience for you. They will also be happy. People who have received it also will be happy. You will also be happy. So people only go to two extremes. Either you fight and say, I will not do it. Then they will also be hurt. And the person who is denying that, they will also be agitated. Or this extreme, where you are just doing it but half-heartedly. Then you're really not experiencing that happiness of giving, because there was no heart behind it. That way, it's very nice that you've been frank, about it. So my genuine request to all the sadhaks is that avoid all these small conflicts. 90% of the time we fight with others over nothing. Those 10% of the things, I'm just arbitrarily saying 10%, it may be 5, it may be even 1% also. Those are the real principles of life, higher values of life. When that has to be compromised, you can put your foot down. But the other things, if you just go through with that once, they will leave you thereafter. You will become free. Once a year, supposing some ritual is there, family ritual they say. Now don't say, are you doing in the spirit of yajna? Now what about ishtan, boga? All this if you say, there is no meaning in that. Once a year if you just do that, but you do it with that right bhavana, they will also be happy, because they have been following that custom for quite some time. Unless they are exposed to the higher values, this ancient wisdom, for them to understand what sadhana is and all, that's going to take time. So is this your follow-up, in a follow-up question, what you have asked is, if my approach, was it selfish or no? It is neither selfishness nor is it self-care. It is foolishness actually. Foolishness means, kindly don't misunderstand. See, what I mean by foolishness, you have not applied your thinking. You are just mechanically trying to assert whatever your belief is without any analysis of whether that belief is right or wrong, whether it's aligned to the higher principles or no. What they are saying, is it something wrong? Nothing. You just, without any thinking, you're allowing your mind to go out of your control. So your goal should be to be happy and to keep others happy in your family as best as possible. Okay, so think about this, and all the other sadhaks also can make a note of this, because in your experiences you may have to apply this in different ways. And then get back to me. If there are further clarifications to this, get back. I may have been a little stern while answering, but I'm sure you will take it in the right spirit, because this alone will help you. If you want to be happy, you need to follow all this. Okay, so now we'll do the Nididhyasana meditation. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I am getting into a state of deep relaxation. Feel the divine vibrations. With every breath, I am going deeper and deeper into myself. beyond my physical body, beyond my emotions, beyond my thoughts, lies my true essential self, the Paramatma, the infinite supreme reality. As the Jivatma, the individual self, my purpose is to realize my infinite nature, from this moment onwards, I choose to do my daily sadhana consistently and release all the baggages which I have accumulated over many births. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru. and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. Today we had a very powerful session. The principles which have been given are golden principles. The fundamentals of what spirituality, true spirituality is. That was also given. And then of course, the higher implication, higher meaning of Ishtan, bogan, from a sadhana point of view was given. Through this week, find time and listen to all this a few times. That will genuinely help you to absorb. Because whatever higher principles are being given to you, you may not be able to absorb all of them at one go. Consistently getting exposed to these principles alone can help you. Okay? So in the next session, we'll go into more depth of this verse. Many more sadhana tips will be given. Okay? So thank you very much. Hari Om.